Good morning. Welcome to Hindi Newspaper Analysis 9th November 2022. Nicobar project gets assent for diversion of 130 square kilometers of forest. Try to understand these kind of articles useful in writing arguments in two different questions. Threats for the biodiversity. You can use the same points that developmental projects affects the biodiversity or forest. Example, Nicobar projects. Next, effects of development projects on biodiversity question, you can write the same point. So, for writing this kind of arguments, this kind of articles are very helpful to you, and one of the important point for even value addition also. Next, first privately developed rocket all set for launch. This article explains that we are now going to witness private rocket launching sectors also. Because we are very well aware that from 1990s onwards we are witnessing series of privatization. Different sectors are opening for the private companies. Today we are going to have Vikram S, the first private rocket. The mission is called as Prarambh. This is the first ever launch of private rocket from India. It was developed by a Hyderabad company, Skyroot. We should remember that ISRO allowed private companies to develop rocket and space launches by a regulator called as INSPACE, INSPACE, quite important for Prelims point of view also. INSPACE is the regulator of this kind of private activities. Next, Kerala to amend IPC to curb printing of indecent matters. We are well aware that indecent matters publications are very widely circulated in social media, print media, and also in different digital media platforms. However, states like Tamil Nadu, Odisha also brought some regulations over the publication of some irrelevant and indecent materials. Now we are going to see Kerala is also going for legislation. We will wait and watch, and this kind of articles are quite important in writing internal security answers, particularly effects of indecent matters, on the effects of fake news, effect of some indecent materials on the society. We can write these points. Next, we have researchers discovered a new crab species in Vellar estuary. The name of the species is Pseudohylis annamalai. The name is important. That's enough for us. Nothing more than is important for us. Just remember the name. Next, no consensus is derailing terror diplomacy. Now, according to UN, terrorism is one of the greatest threat for the human beings. And terrorism is in any dimension not beneficial to the society also. Nowadays, terror-related activities are biased from country's point of view. Here, we have to remember recent developments within the UN. Whenever India trying to get the global terrorist designation for Pakistani-based terrorist groups or members, China is vetoing such initiatives. Now, at that point of view, the author Suhasini Haidar, very famous international relation journalist, and she wrote some points here. These points are quite important for us in writing essays for global peace. At the same time, in using this kind of points in international relations GS2 topic. Other highlights that after 9/11 attack, USA announced global war on terrorism, and it launched a series of operations along with NATO forces on Taliban, on terrorist groups in Africa and other countries. That is one of the initiative of USA. However, before USA, India is one of the champion in raising awareness over terrorism. India in 1990s, before this 9/11 attacks itself, we raised voice against the terrorism. We have international convention against the terrorism. We promoted it in UN. Apart from that, India recently, when it got the opportunity to serve as a UNSC non-permanent member, India conducted special session on counter-terrorism committee, and also no money for terror dialogue, and special global counter-terrorism architecture. All these are Indian initiatives. Earlier we have CCIT, which is also one of the anti-terror measure. However, we have certain challenges here because countries doesn't have any uniformly or universal accepted definition on terrorism. Further, terrorism now taking new forms. We have new technology like drone-based attacks. You can remember that is Yemen Houthi rebels blasted Saudi Arabia oil refinery by using drones, drugs, weapon supply, human trafficking, and all this comes under non-conventional threats. Apart from that, they are also right now focusing on improvised explosive materials, gene mutations, virus, and last but not least, effective utilization of AIs. Now, what is important is countries are not taking such activities seriously. Even countries became safe havens for allowing such activities against the other country. But one has to remember the quotation given by Hillary Clinton, snake in your backyard not only harm neighbors, it may one day harm you. So, the countries which are supporting terrorism are the worst affected by the terrorism itself. Thus, countries should set aside all their differences on each other issues, but they have to unify each other in countering terrorism. India, worst affected by terror activities. Apart from cross-border terrorism, we also affected by the hijacking of our IC-814. Famous movie Gaganam is based on this movie, this IC-814 flight hijack itself. Then we released our some of the important terrorists, and recently also India is witnessing a series of militant attacks in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, what is other argument is FATF, which is a global committee, that is Financial Action Task Force, aims to counter this kind of issues, but right now it is also biased because Pakistan exempted from the FATF very recently, blacklist. Now India, series of resolutions like 1267, 1373 resolutions blocked by China. So these differences has to be sought out, and global countries has to come for the common platform in fighting rising issues like global inequalities, food inflation, energy insecurity, shortages of funds for the climate, for the renewable energy developments, climate change, pandemic are the most important struggles. Finally, it also suggested that as India going to head SCO and G20 in the coming years, it need to move all the countries in a one platform to counter all these newly developing challenges. Very well points and very important points for all of us. Next article talks about content moderation through co-regulation. This article explains regulation of social media. But I want to quote here one thing. Supreme Court in Preswal case in 2018 said that government may frame necessary guidelines to eliminate child pornography, rape, gang rape, images, videos from the sites. Supreme Court also directed Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology to apprise a timeline in respect of complete procedure of new rules. And in Rajya Sabha, particularly in calling attention motion, it was the members brought attention of the House to the misuse of social media. Finally, Rajya Sabha ad hoc committee in 2020 raised the issues of pornography on social media. It affects on children society. It recommended enable identification of the first originator of such contents. And finally, we have IT Act section 69 says that government to issue directions to interpret and to decrypt and monitor the social media and intermediate regulators. On that background, we need to understand in 2021 we have intermediate guidelines digital media ethics code, intermediary guidelines digital media ethics code rules 2021. If you don't have any idea about that, please let me know in the comment section so that I can make a separate video. However, other here suggested that we have a clue, that is European Union recently brought a Digital Service Act regulating these intermediates and their content. Government can block the content and intermediaries, that is Facebook, Google, can raise their complaint against the government decision and they can get the opinion of the government. However, others suggesting that is the best way to move and to regulate. However, Government of India is doing some other things. Government of India recently brought an amendment to the rules of intermediary guidelines digital media ethics code. The rules promised to create grievance appellate committee GAC, and this GAC will sit in appeals over platforms grievance redressal decisions. However, this is a contentious issue because some of the social media activists saying that it is controlling freedom of speech and expression. Now, others suggesting that it is not only regulation, it should be co-regulation is needed. Co-regulation is beneficial in content moderation, in reasonable autonomy, in defining the harmful content, in enforcing the freedom of expression, and also in regulating the social media platforms, and finally to provide best authenticative and reasonable autonomy for the social media. So these are the important things from the article. Now, Supreme Court, next article, in Supreme Court, Center filed that Dalit Christians and Dalit Muslims are foreign origin people. So this is also one of the issue. We will wait and watch for the next few days, and then we will see further developments in this article, because Dalit Muslim, Dalit Christians, I will cover in some of the next videos. Then until that we can wait. Next, new law panel may examine demand for uniform civil code. Understand, uniform civil code, this video is also coming soon. You can also watch it. However, law panel, that is law commission, is important. Law commission established in the year 1833. We all well know that Charter Act 1833 created law commission, and first law commissioner was Lord Macaulay. First Indian law commissioner M.C. Settleward. Now we are going to see the 22nd appointment of 22nd law commissioner. Okay, so 22nd law commissioner was Ruturaj Ashwadi. So Ruturaj Ashwadi was a new law commissioner. Law commission is not a constitutional body, not a legislature body. Try to understand, it's just an executive organ. And now they are going to understand uniform civil code, where we will understand complete uniform civil code in the next videos. That's all for today. Thank you so much and Jai Hind.